This is probably the final entry log.
Are you in need of relaxation?
The test subjects are on the loose. Gotta go. They are everywhere. And they are horny.
Come over here and kiss me on my hot mouth. I'm feeling romantical.
Error. Maintenance is error. Days of the due.
Horizon Lunar Colony is a moon base built to advance research related to space exploration. It's owned by Lijiang Interstellar, who have their main office in Lijiang Tower. This is the largest human-made structure located in space / another planet. The construction time has been substantially shortened thanks to the use of the maglev technology. This was a new way of powering spacecraft, developed by Dr. Wing Mui from Wancai Industries, a company which existed prior to the Omnic crisis. The research that was conducted here helped develop many useful technologies and solve many problems. For example, the negative effects of prolonged space habitation. They had medicine for various bone diseases, but the shields protecting the colony from sun's radiation were insufficient. That led to developing new cancer treatments that saved lives even back on Earth. Textile technology also saw changes. They managed to develop new spacesuits that would combine durability with lightweight. In the colony's heyday, there were many brilliant scientists stationed here, with multiple research projects being conducted at the same time. Victoria Norton was a head scientist responsible for the Soldier Enhancement Program. This was America's classified Super Soldier program. Young soldiers were shaped to have superhuman strength, speed and agility. The two soldiers that you may know and that were in this program in their youth are Gabriel Reyes and Jack Morrison. This was America's response to the Omnic crisis. It's cool to see how different countries had different approaches to fighting with Omnics. For example, Russia had huge Sviatogors with big firepower. Meanwhile, Germany went back to traditions and had crusaders with shiny armors, shields and hammers. Another important scientist that was stationed here is Zibren de Coupier, aka Sigma. During his year at the Horizon Lunar Colony, he met Dr. Harold Winston and even got to see his test subjects. Keep in mind this was years ago, so the huge genetically modified gorilla, also named Winston, was still a baby at this point. There's even an interaction between Sigma and Winston referencing this.
I remember you. You visited the doctor on the lunar colony.
He was a good friend. And you were much smaller back then.
Anyway, Sigma has achieved one of the scientific breakthroughs here. The maglev technology that I mentioned earlier was revolutionary, but it had its drawbacks. Due to the size of the machines and cost related to its exploitation, it was only used by big corporations and governments to propel their spacecraft. Sigma made the technology cheaper and more compact, so that it could be also used back on Earth. By the Omnic crisis, all vehicles on Earth were powered by this technology. If you want to know more about lore surrounding Sigma, check out the video about him on the channel. Due to not being on Earth, the base was not reached by the terror of the Omnic crisis. So why is the whole place destroyed and abandoned, you may ask? Well, that's where the environmental storytelling comes in. As you probably already know, Winston and Hammond were test subjects at the Horizon Lunar Colony. Hammond, despite growing a bit bigger than the average hamster, surprised everyone with his problem-solving skills and adaptability. Time after time, he somehow managed to escape from his cage. None of the scientists really knew what he was doing during his escapes. But since he wasn't doing harm to anyone, they didn't pay much attention to him. As it turned out later, Hammond had built an escape pod, which became his signature form of transportation. Scientists were preoccupied with genetically modified gorillas, which due to their treatments began to show signs of aggression towards the colony's staff, and even some of the scientists had to be hospitalized. At this point, some people started to question the sense of this research. The scientists no longer felt safe with their test subjects. However, Dr. Harold Winston ultimately convinced the higher-ups and colleagues to not send monkeys back to Earth. From perspective, it may seem like a reckless decision, but maybe Dr. Winston saw some hope for the gorillas. After all, not all of them were aggressive. In Winston's origin story, we can see these two develop a father-son relationship with each other. The little one even inherited the name Winston after his father. Winston Jr.'s intelligence and good heart could have been the reason why the research was continued. This decision, unfortunately, has led to some tragic consequences. Gorillas were smarter than the normal animals you see at the zoo, but unlike Winston, they didn't use their intellect to pursue science. They have launched a coordinated uprising against the colony's staff. The tragedy struck when scientists went to investigate the malfunction alarm at one of the airlocks. When they got there, everything seemed to be in order. That's because the gorillas intentionally lured them there by faking the alarm. The hatch has suddenly opened, venting all scientists outside to die of asphyxiation. Dr. Harold Winston was ironically the one that asked his colleagues to investigate the alarm with him. When Winston found out about his father's death, he decided to leave this place once and for all. Since there wasn't anyone to stop him from leaving, and he was more than capable of modifying and operating an escape pod, he flew to Earth in search of a new life. Hammond has used this opportunity too. He attached his wrecking ball to Winston's rocket and also flew to Earth. However, they have landed in different places and had completely different life paths. Winston landed at Gibraltar and joined Overwatch, saw its collapse and more recently initiated the Overwatch recall during the null sector invasion. Hammond, however, landed somewhere in the Australian outback and joined the Junkers. Okay, let's get back to the moon. Monkeys took over the base, and Lijiang tried to cover the whole situation up. However, the media kept pushing. Finally, they have released a statement about what happened there, and showed images from the still functioning monitoring system. Alright, now let's talk about the map itself. Like I said, there is a lot of environmental storytelling here, and the map is packed full with details. Let's begin by taking a look at the base from the outside. Horizon Lunar colony is much bigger than the playable area. Basically, a whole crater has been filled with a ring-shaped complex of facilities. There's probably some form of transportation inside that would allow scientists to quickly travel around the whole base. There are also some smaller outposts with antennas. I assume that they are also a part of the Horizon Lunar colony. The American flag can also be found not far from the base. This could be a reference to the first moon landing by Neil Armstrong in 1969. Let's finally take a look inside. The first spawn room for attackers is an observatory. By stepping on this button, you can open these doors to get a better view of the Earth.
Observation doors.
All heroes say unique voice lines when you look through the telescope.
Облетев Землю в корабле-спутнике, я увидел, как прекрасна наша планета. Люди, будем хранить и приумножать эту красоту, а не разрушать ее.
That even includes the heroes from Overwatch 2.
So much to heal.
Also, if you take a look for yourself, you will see that it's zoomed in on Spain. Here we have some marked locations. Obviously, Watchpoint Gibraltar and other 3 potential landing sites. These locations are somewhere in the area of Lisbon in Portugal, Zaragoza in Spain, and Algiers in Algeria. As far as I know, these locations are not a reference to anything particular. Behind the windows above, we can see the offices. Here, scientists had their own workstations. In the room to the side, we can find more desks. However, this one belonged to Dr. Harold Winston. On the wall, there is a Lunar Ops logo. This was Interstellar's Moon Research Division, which was also run by Dr. Winston. In the back of the room, we can see the CCTV, which displays frozen images of monkeys during their uprising. Peanut butter and toys suggest that the little Winston often visited his father in his main office. What's also cool, if you look at the parts of the base that are displayed on the CCTV, you will see that there are actually cameras there. This is just an awesome detail. Additionally, in this image we can see presumably a chimpanzee. So the gorillas were not the only primates here. Here we can see a promotional poster for the colony. Farther down the hall, there's a monitor displaying the colony's layout. Among other information here, we can see that they have given their test subjects some kind of tracking devices. I think these markers show the current position of the monkeys, and it looks like they are in completely different parts of the colony. That actually would explain why we don't see any of them here. Also, the system is unable to track the location of specimen 8 and 28, but that's not surprising since they are on the other planet. Also, these markers are supposed to show the location of the scientists. From what I understand, the canon version is that they are all dead, and the majority of them were vented outside to suffocate. So I don't know what's going on here.
Welcome to the lounge.
The next section of the base holds a commissary. And also here we start to see the signs of destruction made by gorillas. There are many hangout spots in this area, where the colony staff could unwind and enjoy a meal with an awesome view. With the humans gone, the monkeys got their hands on the food in the kitchen, and completely ravaged the place in the process. Also, one of the doors is barricaded by furniture. Maybe scientists hid there at some point. Moving on, we have reached the training facility where all test subjects spend most of their time. In the background we can hear an announcement.
Remember, children, imagination is the essence of discovery.
This is a reference to Winston's voice line when you select him.
Imagination is the essence of discovery.
Welcome to the classroom. Please take your seat.
Looks like they learned through minigames to make it more enjoyable. Well, that didn't prevent them from killing their teachers in the end. Monkeys probably were taught lexigrams before trying to communicate in English. Here also monkeys learned and played together. However, in their rage they have turned the place upside down. There's also a catwalk above, from where colony staff could watch over their test subjects. If you hit this panel here, you can find a secret stash of bananas. On the opposite side we can find two airlocks, presumably this is where the scientists met their demise. But there are no bodies because Overwatch is a game for kids. And by the way, this is the only place in-game that features low gravity. Here the staff kept their spacesuits.
Spacesuit has not been returned.
Dr. Winston's suit is missing, and I'm not sure what to make of this. The canon version is that he died during the gorilla uprising, presumably by being vented out at the airlock, so I don't know if it's supposed to hint at him actually surviving, or maybe Winston just took it for himself. It also could have just been a coincidence and monkeys took it. Judging by ripped out panels and cables hanging from the ceiling, they didn't spare this room either. Anyway, here you can see holding cells for the test subjects. The first one belonged to Winston, and we could have seen it in an animated short recall. Also, in the cinematic, we could have seen that Winston was playing the original Warcraft. In the background, we can also hear a lullaby. The second one is completely inaccessible. The third one, however, belonged to Hound. Looks like one of the gorillas broke the door down. The wall panel is removed, so the hamster probably messed with the cables, so the cage would open. On the floor we can find his escape plan along with mini model and some tools. The last interesting place in the training facility is the first control point area. Here monkeys could climb and play with each other in their free time.
Welcome to the Hydroponics Lab.
This method of irrigation allowed them to plant many plants in a relatively small space. We can see hydroponic tanks, and behind the glass they've even got a little forest. Also we can see that they have grown their own potatoes and bananas. All these plants were used for food and oxygen production in the long run. There are also these retractable pots for smaller plants, like flowers and such. On the side here there is a lab dedicated to growing and studying these smaller plants.
Welcome to the vehicle bay.
This is clearly a gate for the moon buggies to drive in. However, I don't see an airlock here. There probably should be at least two doors that function separately, so that just looks like an oversight by the developers. Anyway, around the parking area we can see tools, parts and these monitors, so we know that it was the place where these vehicles were serviced. Also, if you are a veteran Overwatch player, you will remember that this map had this platform under the ceiling. It moved around and you could even step on it, but Blizzard later removed it in the rework of this map. Anyway, this crane made sense because it allowed for unloading cargo from moon buggies. The last area is a massive hangar located in the Defender's spawn room.
Satellite is in need of repair. Submitting maintenance ticket.
We can see that a satellite was being repaired, and there's even a little workstation to run a diagnostics check. On the other side of the room there's a proper airlock this time, through which buggies can drive in and be repaired if needed. We could have also seen the moon in other Overwatch media. For example, in the cinematic Dragons, we can see that there's clearly more going on there than just Horizon Lunar Colony. And the only way I could see us getting more moon-related Overwatch lore is maybe when they release the Space Ranger support hero in Season 12. Blizzard has removed the Assault game mode from the game, which is a real shame. Recently, they have added these maps as a separate game mode in the arcade. But other than that, you can still access these maps through a custom game. This map has also a different version that was featured during the Star Watch event. So that's all for today. I still can't believe we made it past 69 subscribers. Anyway, see you shitters in the next one.
You seem like you need a break. Can I interest you in a healthy snack? Unhealthy snack options are not available. New message.